According to reports, former New York Knicks player Mark Jackson and the Knicks are currently working on a deal to have him join MSG Networks. We're going to break down the report and see exactly what his role is going to be with MSG. We're also going to look at a clip from Media Day as we saw Jalen Brunson having a lot of high praise for the current group of New York Knicks players. We're going to look into this and so much more today. Let's get started. Mark Jackson is reportedly close to a deal with MSG Networks. Now, if you've been following this story like I have over the last few weeks, this is not a surprise at all. The reports coming out of the last few weeks have indicated that Mark Jackson and to an extent Jeff Van Gundy were looking to join MSG Networks as potential broadcasters when Walt Clyde Frazier doesn't want to do some road games, because it has been reported that he may want to work a more reduced role headed into this season. And if that's the case, that can lead to some opportunities for Jeff Van Gundy and or Mark Jackson to come aboard and join Mike Breen on road games. And in my opinion, it would lead to a very, very refreshing voice to lead MSG and the New York Knicks into the future. And according to the New York Post, MSG Network could have ex-ESPNer Mark Jackson fill in for Clyde Frazier on some Knicks games this season, according to sources. The Daily News mentioned that MSG Networks was interested in Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy to team with play-by-play voice Mike Breen. The trio obviously had been part of the ABC ESPN's #1 crew for a long time before Van Gundy and Jackson were both fired during the late June layoffs. Though MSG Network has interest, Van Gundy calling some Knicks games is very unlikely to happen according to sources. Both Jackson and Van Gundy had money remaining on their ESPN contracts and would need permission from ESPN to be allowed to get out of their contracts and join MSG Networks. So that's essentially why Jeff Van Gundy is unlikely to join MSG Networks. But what about Mark Jackson? How come he's close to a deal with MSG Networks, but Jeff Van Gundy isn't, even though they both just left ESPN? Well, according to the New York Post, Zach Braziller, he states the following: ESPN is handling each situation on a case-by-case basis, and Jackson's case is trending in the right direction, according to reports. And honestly, I love to hear this. I've wanted Mark Jackson to be an announcer for MSG Network for a very long time now. I wanted a new voice to pair with Mike Breen, even though it's quote-unquote not new because I've heard it with ABC and ESPN before. I still wanted it to happen, and I'm glad to see things are trending in the right direction for it to happen. Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy were both let go in a huge ESPN layoff late June this past summer. And because of that, a lot of people were wondering where these people were going to go. Were they going to go to MSG? Were they going to go somewhere else? Well, now we know, at least for Mark Jackson, he might be heading back to the New York Knicks in another capacity, this time in a broadcasting capacity, joining Mike Breen, and I would be so happy to see it. I'm sure a lot of New York Knicks fans would be happy to see it as well too, even though some fans I talk to wish and hope that he was a coach for the New York Knicks. In my opinion, I wouldn't go that far, but I am very, very happy to hear that things are going in the right way for him to join MSG Network and be another broadcaster for that team. And honestly, I don't think it would stop there. Don't be surprised if you see him in the pre-games and the post-games with Wally, with Allen, and also with Bill calling some of that action and breaking down some of the game there, giving his analysis. I think you could definitely count on him to do some of that as well too. He did it for ESPN. He did it for ABC. So I think it's very plausible that we'll see it for MSG Network as well too, especially if they ask him to do it. Because if they ask him to do it, I absolutely think he will. I think he likes to do things like that. I think he takes pride in doing things like that. You can tell when he's talking about it. And I absolutely love that. And I love his passion. Again, he's a former New York Knicks player. Some people even call him a New York Knicks legend. Whatever you want to call him, it doesn't matter to me. I want to see him part of that MSG Network booth. I want to see him call some games with Mike Breen. I'm happy to hear this report, and I can't wait to see when it's official and we get the finalized official report that says he's going to join Mike Breen, Walt Clyde Frazier, as one of the third people to announce games with the New York Knicks. Because honestly, that would be a breath of fresh air in my opinion. Jalen Brunson has praised the current group of New York Knicks players. Now, obviously, he's the leader of the New York Knicks. He is the main leader for the New York Knicks, I should say. And he is well over the best player on the New York Knicks roster. So clearly, because of all those facts, when he talks, everybody's going to listen. And recently on Media Day, he was seen giving some praise to the New York Knicks players and the current group that they have. Not saying anything bad about last year's group, but he's just saying he's so confident and happy with every guy that they have, giving them praise for what they're doing, not only on the court, but also in the gym as well, too. And it means a lot when your leader is saying that. Roll the clip.
He's very excited to come into the season. This group, we have a bunch of guys who just love to work on their game, have great work ethic, all that stuff. We have guys we have to kick out of the gym. That's not a problem for guys to work on their game. So I think that's a plus for us. And I think we all come back better. We all come back wiser. We understand the task at hand, what we need to do, and that's just getting better every single day. And this is a great group. We have resilient guys and a lot of tough-minded, hardworking, and great teammates, resilient guys on this team. So going to be more than happy to go in the games with this crew, and I'm excited.
That's a leader answer right there. That's a Jalen Brunson answer. Time and time again, every single time he's asked a question, he's given a leader response because it's natural to him. Steve Kerr called it before as well when he was part of Team USA. Jalen Brunson is a natural leader, and that's exactly what he is for this New York Knicks team. He's the number one guy on this New York Knicks team by far, and you can't even say it's close. It's him, and then Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, everybody else. But it's clear Brunson is the number one. And he had so much praise for the players on this current Knicks team. It makes me excited. You have to kick players out of the gym? Who do you have to kick out? I would love to know who he has to kick out of the gym. It might be Dante, probably Hart, probably Julius Randle, definitely. Probably R.J. Barrett. There are a lot of people that I'm thinking about in my head that Jalen Brunson potentially could kick out of the gym because they're still there and working on their game. Because you could take into account all the players they had last year, because a lot of players last year were doing that. And now you have new additions this year that you can make the argument are probably doing that too. Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo. Dante DiVincenzo as well has even spoken out about the fact that he loves the environment the New York Knicks has and the fact that the team has gone as far as they did last year. So the culture in his eyes is changing. And Jalen Brunson is a big part of that. Jalen Brunson last year was praised for always being in the gym, and a lot of players were following that suit. You know what's happening this year? The same thing. Only difference is they're starting at that level. They're not working their way into it. And you know why? Jalen Brunson. I can't say enough how much this guy means to this New York Knicks team, what he's done for this franchise, how much hope he's given New York Knicks fans. Even though the East is stacked, competitive, the power has shifted to Milwaukee and Boston. Clearly, we know that. But even so, the New York Knicks and Jalen Brunson can give you just a little bit of hope, especially when he makes comments like this. He makes you excited for the season. He makes you want to watch. He makes you think the New York Knicks are going to do things that other teams are not going to believe, that the NBA is not going to believe. And I believe him because last year he did that. With Dallas, he did that. Why am I going to question it now? I trust and believe in Jalen Brunson. I think he can lead this New York Knicks team to the playoffs again. The only thing now is that if he gets to the second round and sees Boston or Milwaukee, it's going to be a very, very tough matchup. Now, I'm not saying they don't have a shot. I always believe in my New York Knicks. I will always believe in the Knicks. However, if I'm being realistic, if the Knicks see Milwaukee or Boston in the playoffs in the second round, it's going to be a very bad matchup for them. I don't think they're going to have a great night most nights. And you can make the argument that they'll lose that matchup more times than they'll win it. That's just my opinion in realistic terms. However, of course I want to see them win that matchup. If they get there, that's what I'll want to see, and I'll always be rooting for the Knicks. I just have to put it out there that, of course, it's not a great matchup if you're looking at it on paper. But who knows? Maybe the New York Knicks get off to a very hot start this season. Maybe they prove some doubters wrong, And also, maybe they make a statement and a name for themselves in the playoffs. All of those things are true and can happen. They have a path to get there. However, that path is very, very limited, and it's hard to get there with so many obstacles in the East because the Eastern Conference, as I said before, has gotten stacked. But guys, let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think about Jalen Brunson's comments? What do you think about him being excited to start the season with this current Knicks group? How far do you think the New York Knicks are going to go this year in a stacked Eastern Conference? Let me know because honestly, guys, I would love to hear from you. But until next time, don't forget to smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.